Hey everyone, happy Sunday. Today I'm going to talk about breast implants and my experience with them. So, I got breast implants in 2005. I had them for 13 years and I got them under the muscle. So, 2005, let's see here. I was in my 20s. I was young and I was probably a little bit naive at the time. So I'm just speaking for myself. All of this is just my experience with it. Okay, so I always had a pretty small chest. I was never like super big. Looking back though in pictures and stuff, I'm like, oh, they weren't too bad, in high school. So I wasn't like an underbloomer, but I wasn't an overbloomer either. So I was probably right there in the middle, probably a size B or whatever. However, when I got into my 20s, I did lose a little bit of weight and I probably went to a smaller B, maybe even an A. I can't say that I was extremely insecure with my body more than at the time in my 20s and just kind of being young and again, like just kind of just not knowing better. I just wanted to enhance them. I thought, oh, I'll look better in these clothes and, I'll feel more attractive and, just kind of putting myself back in my 20-year-old mind. And this was before my son was born and this was right after I had just gotten married. And so back then I didn't do a lot of research. So, the computer and the internet, all that, it was sort of new. It was relatively new, at least to me. I wasn't on there like searching like all the details and the side effects or, the pros and cons. I just kind of like just jumped into it. I made an appointment with a doctor here in town. I met with her, I think, maybe twice. She showed me like an album, gave me a couple options. I said, okay, yeah, I'll go with this one. It just sounded like such a great idea. And so what I did end up getting was saline implants, which was water-based implants under the muscle. And so extremely painful. Anybody who has had breast implants knows exactly what I'm talking about, and nothing can prepare you for it. Literally, it was probably 5 to 8 weeks of healing, not being able to really lift, sleep comfortably. It was excruciating pain. At least it was for me. That was my experience. And so I get the breast implants, and I think I went with like a large C or whatever. It was like a large C, small D. They were really big for my body frame. I'm just gonna put it out there to begin with. And I'm so conservative anyways, and I'm pretty private. So here I was, like for many years, like admiring women who maybe had a fuller chest. I'm like, wow, they look amazing. And then now all of a sudden I have these implants, and I'm trying to hide them. If you're looking at me now in this sweater, you can see I don't have implants anymore. So we'll get into that in a minute. So I'm back down to an A cup. However, so I had them for 13 years. My experience with them was different than a lot of people's. So what ended up happening with me is since I'm more prone to having autoimmune problems, my body did not like the breast implants at all. So early on when I started to kind of develop certain things with my body, and it was like within a matter of probably a couple of years, I started to see my health shift. I went from a normal, healthy child, teenager, grown up, to all of a sudden now I was starting to deal with all sorts of like health issues. And so whether or not my breast implants completely 100% caused these, I cannot say. However, do I feel like they contributed? Yes, I do, because I felt like my body was working really extra hard because of these foreign objects that I had placed in my body. And so therefore it was kind of a cause and effect type thing. And in fact, when I went to the surgeon when I was 13 years in of having them, and I just had a knowing. There had been a couple years prior to removing them when I was just like, are my implants making me sick? Do these have anything to do with it? Not that any doctor had ever mentioned it. Like, hey, your implants can be contributing to some of these health issues that you've had over the past, like 8 years, 9 years. Nobody ever mentioned it, but I just had that small knowing. And I think one night I watched an episode on TV or something that said like, oh, maybe if you have implants, you could have black mold in your body or whatever. And it was just like people who could get paralyzed and this and that, alarmist in a sense. But I was like, is that what's going on with me? And then I would kind of just like let it go on the wayside and not think of it. And then I kid you not, one day I was just reading through my Bible. My son was playing in his room with my mom, and I was just kind of just hanging out, not thinking of anything. And I had a knowing, like I just felt it in my heart of hearts. And God was kind of like just telling me like, Helen, your implants are making you sick. So I was just like, oh, I mean, obviously, he didn't speak to me, but he spoke to my heart. I just had a knowing, like, oh, like it was out of nowhere. Like, I wasn't even thinking about it. And so I started researching it that day. And that would probably been right before my 40th birthday. I started reaching it. I started reading about it, and I was just like, okay, I'm going to just start researching this and seeing. And behold, there's tons of information out there, guys. So if you are dealing with some autoimmune diseases that are just new to you, or you can't figure it out, and doctors don't have any explanations for it. I mean, granted, sometimes you just have them. However, if you have implants and you're dealing with these, now this is worth looking at. I got on there and I looked at the list. It was like called breast implant disease or whatever. There's a lot of different websites. There's different support groups. I mean, you just have to do your own research and find what's best for you. I found both. However, I started looking at this site that was like breast implant disease or whatever. And I tell you, there was like 20 different things on this list. And I had a majority of them. It was unbelievable. Like things that I had been suffering from, issues that I had been having. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is real. Like, I think my breast implants are making me sick. Now, however, I have friends who have them who've done perfectly okay with these. They look amazing, they feel amazing, they've had no problems, and bravo to you. That's amazing. That's great if that worked for you. However, I found out that there were thousands of women just like me, and there's a community of women who were like almost ready to die because of their breast implants. So I start researching it, and I make an appointment that Monday. I was just like, I need to call the surgeon, because I was at a point anyways where I had them for 13 years. So I was looking at whether I was going to get them replaced or take them out. Just wasn't sure what I was going to do because they were starting to deflate. So that does happen. If you've had them for a long period of time, I had my son with them, and just, wear and tear, they start to lose some of that volume, and they start to kind of get wrinkly and crinkly. The bags start to kind of sink in. It's not attractive, I'm not going to lie. So I knew that I had to do something. I was either going to have to reinvest and get some new ones, or I was going to take them out. So I met with the surgeon here, and I just come to him and I'm like, hey, I don't know. I just am feeling like maybe my breast implants have been like a little bit of a culprit and have been making me sick. And the surgeon didn't say one way or another. So he was just like, okay. He goes, well, you have the saline, and obviously they're made with a metal like shell on the outside. He said a lot of the times you see people have more issues obviously with the silicone, but then they have like a saline shell. I'm sure they've come out with a lot more stuff. Keep in mind, this was many years ago. However, he goes, so just because you have saline doesn't mean that yours can't be making you sick because the metal shell's on the outside. And I was like, okay, that makes sense. Made a little sense. And he goes, here's what we're going to do. He goes, I feel like since you're already dealing with autoimmune stuff, he goes, it's probably in your best interest to take them out. And he's just like, I won't say one way or another. However, they're probably not doing you or your body any favors. Let's take them out. And he couldn't have been more right. He scheduled me within a week. He goes, let's get him out. So I did a mild surgery where I went under. So they just kind of did, again, an anesthesia. They put me out. They checked me into the hospital and everything. I know a lot of doctors' offices will do it with you awake. I think they'll just numb you up really good, and then they'll make incisions, and they'll take the implant out right where you were stitched up to begin with. And that's what they did for me as well, but they did it while I was under. Thank you, Jesus. I don't want to be awake for anything like that, okay? I mean, just put me out. I know some people are freaked out by that. I'm not. I'm freaked out by being awake by that kind of stuff. So I made the decision. I said a lot of prayers. I thanked the Lord. I'm like, okay, we're going to do this. This is scary. I didn't know. I knew my appearance was about to change. And even though, like I said, I wasn't obsessed with having those large implants, however, they had become a part of me, a part of my image. And I knew that by taking them out, especially just being a woman and feeling like feminine and, with my husband and everything, I knew that was all about to change, because I wasn't going to do a lift. I wasn't going to do anything. I literally was just taking them out. And the doctor had already told me, you're going to go back to your pre-implant size. And he's just like, Helen, you're very thin up top, so we don't know what to expect at this point. But he said, down the road, if you need to, if there's a lot of loose skin, which I was petrified about, he goes, we can do a lift, but right now, we'll just take them out and we'll just, give it a year and see what your body ends up doing. And I was in agreement with that. I just wanted them out, to be honest with you. I mean, once I had set my mind and I kind of had that knowing, and I had read all those testimonies and seen that everyone was doing the same things I was I was like, get them out. So I had the surgery. It didn't last very long. They removed the implants. They tell me to go home, and I have to wear these extremely, extremely tight bras, like, for pressure and stuff, so that fluid doesn't fill up into the spaces where the implants were. It was a really crazy experience. I'm not going to lie. It's like day one, I was excited. Day two, I was still excited. Day three, it started to kind of hit me. I was kind of looking down, and I had this flat as a board chest, and it like almost looked as if I had just chopped them off, like literally. So it messed with me just a little bit, which I know I've read on other women where it did the same exact thing. But I just thanked God. I was just like, thank you for getting them out of my body. Thank you for bringing healing into me. God, thank you that you're going to restore me. And so this has been a process because I'm 43 now, so it's been 3 years since I've had them removed. But I'm going to tell you, I am so much healthier that words cannot even describe. So obviously, first and foremost, we know I'm healthier because I pray every day, and God has blessed me, and He's healing, and He's restoring me. But He's restoring me in all different ways, and that was one of them. I believe, like He said, let's get these implants out of your body so your body can do what it was created to do, Helen. And for me, it has been a game changer, and I know for a lot of other women, 100% as well. So, I mean, since I've gotten them out, I'm healthier, I've gained weight, I'm not struggling with a lot of new autoimmune diseases. My body isn't getting as many colds, as many flus, my hair's not falling out. Vision was one of those things. I was kind of dealing with vision and vertigo stuff. I'm very rarely deal with that. So, I mean, I'm not saying it's a cure-all. However, I think by me getting those out of my body's able to work on the areas it needs to, and it's not overcompensating for these two foreign objects that were in my body that were probably never meant to be there in the first place. And so it's a huge thing. And so I just encourage you, if you are having some health issues, your health has turned around, you're losing hair, like I said, you're having back problems, women problems, women have had to have hysterectomies and stuff, like your health is just turning around and you just do not know what's going on, and you do have breast implants. It's worth taking a look at. It may have something to do with it for you, and it may have nothing to do with it for you, but I can tell you for me, it did, and I'm healthier, I'm doing better. And at first, my implants, when I had first gotten them taken out, they were kind of concaved. I know this is a little personal, but my boobs were like in the spots where the implants were placed because they were there for so long. So my boobs, instead of even remotely going a little outward because I'm so thin, they were like concaved inward. Like there was nothing there. It was so sad. However, 3 years later, I'm still an A. So, I mean, I'm not going to give you any like miraculous news on that, but they're not concaved anymore. They're finally like, okay, making a little home outward. So thank you, Jesus, again for that. So I do pray over that too. I always thank Him for healing and restoring them and just bringing them, back to their normal size. But most importantly, I'm just grateful and thankful to Him for my health and restoring my health and giving me that knowing like, hey, these are not helping you. And so He's always speaking if we listen to Him genuinely. I know some people think that that's way off bat, like, especially if you do not walk with the Lord and you don't have a relationship with Him yet. You're probably like, He speaks to you. However, He does. And He gives us a knowing. And those of you who, walk with Him and know Him very well, you know what I'm talking about. It's just that little voice, that little voice is just like, oh, something's not right here. So granted, it took me 13 years to figure it out, but here I am. I'm healthy. I'm confident. I'm completely okay with my A-sized chest now. And I'm just so grateful to be feeling so much better. So anyways, if you have any questions on this, I know that this is pretty just brief. I would be more than happy to answer them. So, you can just jot down a comment. I'll try to respond when I get online. I don't get online very often, anybody, but but when I do, I would be more than happy to answer any questions that you have. But again, just get online and just research breast implant disease and see if that might be you. Okay, God bless. Bye.